So what percentage of the alcohol teenagers drink is given to them by their parents? The answer is 50%.
And welcome back to The Right Stuff, live on 5 with Terry Christian, Carol Malone and Brian Connolly, all grabbing their spectacles, apart from Terry.
We've got our sweets in case we cough.
We're here for the night, we are.
Still to come this morning as Big Brother finally had its day, the granddaddy of reality telly, now in its 9th year. Viewing figures are down. So has the novelty of watching a dozen people do absolutely nothing finally lost its appeal? 0207 173 5555 is a number for your thoughts, assuming, of course, you can form some. But first, is 15 too young to drink? Cillian Donaldson, Chief Medical Officer, says kids 15 and under should never be allowed to drink booze. Not a drop, not even with their mum or dad. Now, at present, which I always find amazing, the law says anyone over the age of 5 can drink alcohol with their parents at home. So Cillian's guidance, well, that comes after a recent survey suggested as many as 1 in 5 13-year-olds are drinking alcohol at least once a week.
Main advice is that childhood should be an alcohol-free time, but certainly under the age of 15 there are serious risks, and we know already that nearly a third of a million 11 to 15-year-olds get drunk every week in this country. That's a very big number.
OK, now, I'm told the government has no intention of backing their medical officers' advice with new laws, although the public are to be consulted. I guess I'm not surprised, because just before Christmas, Ed Balls' Department of Children, Schools and Families published this report which suggested parents had their heads in the sand if they thought introducing their sprogs to alcohol would somehow demystify booze and would therefore protect them from alcoholism. And ministers, as well, I'm sure we all know, are worried by rising rates of binge drinking, alcohol-related liver disease in the young. Alcohol Concern has welcomed Cillian's advice, although a spokesman admitted that there are many more factors out there that influence a young person's drinking habits than just what their parents say. I don't know about you. I don't know. I've said it before. We had cherry brandy on Christmas Day when we were probably about 8 years old, and a glass of white wine with Sunday lunch, and never did me no harm, Terry.
Well, I mean, my lads will say, you know, if I've got a pint of Guinness or something, they'll be sticking the finger in and taking the froth off the top. And, or they might have a quick swig of it, and that's
How old?
One's 10, one's 7. So they'll do stuff like that. Just curiosity. I mean, my dad would do that, you know, let you have a quick
Because if
swig.
you didn't and went, no, 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 I think the curiosity level goes through the roof.
Well, also, they have a swig and they go, you know, give me some Vimto. But also, at 15, I mean, this is a terrible thing to say, and in no way, you know, does Channel 5 condone this opinion. But all this kind of problem with hoodies and kids hanging around the street, when we were 15, 16, we'd be down the pub, and that's where you kind of learnt to behave, and you'd maybe, you know, you could only afford maybe a pint and a half, but you got taught how to drink modestly and keep your gob shut and not cause trouble.
Do you know what? I'd never thought of that.
Got you off the street.
You're absolutely right, that when you were drinking underage in a pub, you behaved.
Well, they've become so strict on underage drinking now that there's almost nowhere for kids who are 17 and 18 to go. So they're ending up hanging around on the street, you know, drinking, you know, loads of cheap booze and
Will your kids have a glass of booze at home with you at 15, 14?
I mean, again, it's, you know, it's too far off, you know, to kind of think of. I mean, I'm not a great drinker in the house anyway, you know. My dad was like that. He thought if you drank in the house, you were an alcoholic. He just went out every night instead. You know.
What about you, Brian? Did you have drinks at home?
I had a Christmas snowball.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those snowballs with a cherry, and that was my... I didn't grow up with alcohol in the house. My father never drank. I've got a headache and he used to suffer from migraines. Carol's going to sort me out afterwards.
I'm going to give him a new Refed in a minute.
No, I thought it was a massage.
So you had no alcohol at home?
No.
And you don't drink now?
I haven't had a drink for 5 years, yeah. I never had a problem.
I was going to say...
oh, God.
Well,
it was a toughest thing I ever done.
Do you think you...
I've just done pantomime in Nottingham, and it is very... I love Nottingham, but Saturday night was very scary. All these young, very young people in next to nothing. That's when you know you're getting old, because you look at these girls going, they're going to catch their death. Look at the, you know, get a coat on, love, get a coat on. All getting drunk. They make alcohol so attractive to kids. When we were young, yeah, you had a pint of bitter or beer, and I never liked it, and I used to pretend I did, God, it's horrible. But now they've got all the
you yourself have stopped drinking.
Yes.
OK, you have your reasons. Do you think if there was alcohol at home, if there was a softly attitude, have a glass of wine with Sunday lunch or a pint with your dad on your birthday or whatever, that you would have been a more responsible drinker later in life, and therefore not on the wagon now?
There is a possibility there. Like you say, I never drunk, but it was never pushed away, and we did have a drinks cabinet. I've even got a bar at home that I look at, you know. Oh, look, let's drink, you know. It's something...
Do you think there's any relationship at all between drinking at home with your parents there and developing a responsible attitude?
I think it's all down to the individual, and it's all down to problems that they've got, and I think that they're trying to, you know, push those things away by self-medicating with some alcohol, you know, and let's not be honest. When you're 15, it's really your relationship is boys and girls, and if you've got a little alco poppy thing in your hand, you suddenly got a little bit more confident, and you think maybe I can walk up to her and ask her out or something, you know. So that's, but it's just taking it that it's so attractive, alcohol, and it's just taking it that one step further, where you just get so out of hand that you can't remember where you are and who you are.
The key here, Carol, is whether or not having a drink at home with your parents will lead you to becoming a responsible drinker. And I mean, Ed Balls is very keen on us believing it won't.
I think Ed Balls and Liam Dunsell are nuts. I think
really?
Yeah, I think this is mad what they're doing, because, you know, if the one surefire to make a kid go out and drink is to say, don't you dare drink that, and don't you go out and have that, because you're going to do it if you're 15. You're going to go out and have a boatload. You know, in places like France and Italy, where children are drinking watered-down wine from the age of 5 at meals, because it's on every table, you don't see kids run riot in the streets in France or Italy. They don't do it. They're a totally different culture. And I saw a doco last year where there was kids, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, being asked about the kids here. They said, we don't understand. Why do you do it? Why do the children here do this?
It's part of our culture. I remember asking this American girl once when we were working a lot in LA, and you go to a lot of nightclubs that were organised by British guys. And I said to her, so why do you think the British drink so much? And she said, because you have no life. And I knew what she wanted. You know, where they could all afford hobbies like water skiing and stuff like that. Really, what can you afford when you work?
But it's also
40 hours a week here in a normal job. You can afford probably a Friday and Saturday night out, and that's it.
But it is interesting in LA because it's sunny and it's lighter longer.
Yeah.
They do more things outside. I mean, I was in LA, I was working, and I was in a restaurant, and I said to the girl, about whatever she went, a bottle? I said, there was two of us, and I went, a bottle? And I said, yeah, what? She went, oh, it's fine, nobody has a bottle. And it's unusual you have one glass.
I asked for a third glass of wine at lunch, and...
Yeah.
Are you OK, sir?
Yeah.
So, I mean, because they just find it so bizarre, whereas here it is part of our culture.
But I mean, I come from the North East, a very hard-drinking culture. Men and women drank a lot in the North East. And you know what that did for me? That made me not want to drink so much, because I saw people blowing their wages, getting drunk a lot, because they just did then. It was the way that... And I didn't like that. And consequently, I don't drink as much as...
Yeah. You see, because it's nice to know that, for once, Carol and I totally agree on this. But I also take on board all the... Yeah. I really do. But I also take on board that I think there's lots of other factors as well. So if I had kids, which I don't, although I am intending to try practising anyway, they would definitely have a drink at home with me. But what about you, Amy?
OK, we're going to start with Alka on line 2.